And so what happened back in March when the pandemic hit to the Fellowship Club?
It was closed, and the doors were closed and locked. We were essentially put out of business, no meetings, no nothing.
And so what impact did that have on, for you personally?
Personally, it was kind of devastating. I just really assumed that when I came back home, I was in Florida at the time, and we'd shut down completely there. When I came back home, I had assumed that we were going to be going back into a normal way of life. Because at that time, the time frame was 2 weeks. 2 weeks, and we're going to look at this again. 2 weeks, we're going to look at this again. And the 2 weeks kept stretching deeper and deeper and deeper, and it created quite the void in my life. I heard about Zoom, and I tried getting up with my friends in Florida. They were the ones that were doing the first Zoom meetings. So I connected up with them, and I found out that it was really pretty easy to do. And so I set up 2 Zoom meetings here in the club area. At first I came down to the club and did them here, but it felt bad. Not bad. It felt bad being here without other people. And bad's not the correct term for that. It was lonely. Lonely is a better term. So I set it up in my garage where I was able to produce better light in the garage. And also I was not lonely there. The dog was there.
Were meetings the primary way you were able to cope with this?
I'm a busy fellow. I read. I'm a compulsive reader. I read the big book. I also run a food pantry over in East Dubuque. I'm involved in a lot of things, so I'm able to work those things at home and was able to stay busy. And for me, busy is the key word. If I'm producing, then I'm happy.
So at any point were you concerned about your sobriety, or?
I'm in long-term recovery, and I wasn't fearful of my sobriety. I was fearful that I wouldn't be there to help the next person. And that's part of the tenet of Alcoholics Anonymous, is to keep it, you have to give it away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then it was in June that the Fellowship Club was able to reopen?
Right. And I continued to run Zoom meetings for another 2 or 3 weeks. And by that time, my patronage of the Zoom meetings had dropped off, so I closed those down and just come here to the club and run those meetings here.
So are members coming back then?
Yes, slow but sure. And some of them aren't sure, and if they want me to, I'd run a Zoom meeting here with the other meetings. And that's what I did at first. I did Zoom and the regular meeting.
And how did you all decide when it would be time to come back?
We sat down as a group in this room and discussed what we seen the future as, and we went by what the governor, Kim Reynolds, said. I'm an East Dubuquer, so I have to go with the other governor, which I don't really care for. That's my only political statement.
Right.
But whatever she said to do is what we decided we're going to do.
Okay.
Right on their timeline, not ours.
Mm-hmm. I guess, looking back on this, what has this pandemic taught you, from the perspective of recovery? And
That's really a good question. you know, it's kind of one of those after-action reports we're gonna sit down and really take a look at. We were lucky, we had a prudent reserve. We're good for just a little over a year. And a lot of groups weren't able to do that. We're a pretty conservative bunch when it comes to finances and those types of things. So we were able to proportion our monies and keep the place open. Now, in the future, what I would do is increase that reserve and give us look at things a bit differently. We may have to redesign the area. I'm not sure yet. We'll have to sit down as a group and talk that about.